Naomi Tillison is our Natural Resource Director. There she is, okay. And if you want to come on up, she's going to share a little bit of background with what we're experiencing in terms of threats to Bad River, threats to Lake Superior. The coastal wetlands, Long Island, and all of that stuff exists because of the effluent discharge of these big, powerful rivers. So when I think of the Paso Islands and all of that stuff, it's downstream, potential Line 5 ruptures. So Bart, we're going to take questions at the end. Paul Lemaine's got a ferry to catch. And so, is that a I never know what that is. Okay. So Naomi Tillison.
Thank you. So tonight I was asked to talk about the 3 areas we're most concerned about within the Bad River Reservation boundaries. So that's going to be the focus of my presentation tonight. So I titled it Mishkizidi, which for those of you that don't know, that means Medicine River, and that's what we commonly call now the Bad River. So again, we're going to focus on the first, or the top 3 issues of concern. I want to first, just to make sure everyone's aware about the route of Line 5, I wanted to show this map. This illustrates the route of Line 5. It runs around 1,100 miles. It starts in Superior, Wisconsin, and like Elizabeth mentioned, it runs under the Mackinac Straits and then ends up in Sarnia, Ontario. Got some animation, so let's see if I can figure that out. Okay, so we are just one of the many communities concerned about how Line 5 has affected the environment. And the pipeline actually crosses 4 of the 5 Great Lakes basins. Only the Lake Ontario basin isn't crossed by Line 5. This is a zoomed in map. This is showing the Line 5 infrastructure from the city of Superior to the state of Michigan boundary. You can see in this map the red reservation boundaries, including the Bad River reservation boundaries, where you can see that Line 5 is crossing through it. Line 5 crosses 27 streams and rivers that flow into Schwamgan Bay. This map is giving a perspective of our Schwamgan Bay region. And it's going to label some of the major waterways in the region. You can sort of see the outline of the Bad River watershed itself. And this is a representation of Line 5. And the spots we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about a location where the pipeline is currently exposed near a tributary to Denomie Creek. We're also going to talk about where Line 5 crosses the Bad River itself. And we're going to talk about an area just east of that, near Sugarbush Creek area, where we're currently doing an investigation because we're detecting a non-natural odor in this really remote area close to Line 5. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so we're starting off to the east at Denomie Creek. Denomie Creek is a major waterway that flows through the reservation. It starts just upstream of the Birch Hill community and flows north before passing through New Odena. The 2 communities are designated by those house symbols. Denomie Creek then flows into Honest John Lake and to the Bad River sloughs, which are connected to Lake Superior and also support Monoman or wild rice. We're going to zoom into the tributary. One of the 6 tributaries crossed by Line 5. So in that yellow box, we're going to zoom in to talk about this area where the pipeline is exposed. So sometimes this area is referred to by the company as Slope 18. Here the installation, this is looking at that same area, we're looking at topography in this map. So here the installation of Line 5, actually changed the hydrology historically when it was installed in 1953. And you can see that arrow that sort of shows those waterways should have been flowing north, but instead they're running along the Line 5 corridor. That, in addition to a beaver pond located upstream, we now have significant flow running down this steeper slope, which then at the base of the slope is the tributary to Denomie Creek. So this increased flow, which is partially attributed to the fact that Line 5 was installed here and historically modified these waterways, is causing this right bank of Denomie Creek to erode at an alarming rate. This also happens to be near the location where Enbridge crashed their helicopter on the reservation in October of 2018, and there is ongoing remediation efforts at that remote site. Here are some of the photos that we have taken showing some of this erosion that's been occurring on this steep slope adjacent to a Denomie Creek tributary. And it's sort of hard to see in these photos because there's a lot of downed trees, there's erosion. It's kind of hard to see what's going on. You really need to be out there to get the perspective yourself, or we do have videos, I just didn't bring them tonight to share. So this was an area that we were concerned about because the erosion was occurring, and it's one of the two areas that Enbridge did not brush. They were proposing to brush, and the tribal council did approve them to brush this area. We attached conditions to that approval to protect the water resources and to minimize impacts to the water resources because this is a very remote area and hard to get to. So one of those conditions was requiring the company to do sort of the brushing by hand instead of bringing heavy, large machinery in here that may do more damage than good. But Enbridge was resistant to follow that condition, so this area hadn't been brushed. And on October 21st, just over a month ago, we were out in the field and we went to this slope and we saw the pipeline had been exposed. Sometime between May of this year and that date when we discovered it on August 21st, it's a 49-foot stretch of Line 5 that is exposed. Most of this stretch is unsupported, meaning that the soil underneath had washed away from the majority of this stretch. So this is very alarming, this is very concerning. This is an area we have been spending quite a bit of time in the last month working on. We have a public notice currently out, and we are asking for public comments. The deadline is Friday, October 4th. We put this public notice out because Enbridge is proposing work to repair or remediate this area where the pipeline is exposed. They had contractors come in and install sandbags underneath the pipe to provide some temporary measure to reduce some of the stresses on the pipe, but it is very much a temporary solution at that. And so because of the urgency of the situation, the Natural Resources Department did issue the approval for them to install the sandbags as a temporary measure. We posted this public comment to get public comments on the work that's been done and being proposed to be done, but also on additional monitoring that might be needed to just ensure we're doing what we need to do to protect the water resources. The plan is we'll be taking this in front of the Tribal Council mid-October to get council approval. We're going to make sure we consider those public comments that come in. I did bring a couple of these public notices. I know I definitely did not bring enough for this large crowd, which is great to see you guys all out here. This public notice is also on our webpage at badriver-nsn.gov, so if you want to learn more about it, you can go to our webpage and see this public notice. And again, the comment period is Friday. So next I'm going to talk about the other two areas that we're most concerned about, which includes the area where Bad River, or Line 5 crosses the Bad River itself, and the area just east of it where we're doing the odor investigation. So this is just some facts about the Bad River itself and zooming into this area of interest. Where Line 5 crosses the Bad River, the river continues to flow to enter Lake Superior, and that's about 15 river miles downstream. So the area near Sugarbush Creek, this is where we have another public notice out. This time it's a public safety notice that we posted to alert the community that we are doing an investigation. Our investigation is underway of a possible leak along Line 5 corridor within the reservation. This is near where Enbridge just completed 2 anomaly digs this August. And after the completion of those digs, there's routine inspections of the erosion and sedimentation controls, and also to check and see if things are properly revegetating. And as part of those routine inspections, there was an odor that was detected on September 10th, and that was described as a hand sanitizer odor. And this is over 2 miles in from the nearest road. It's a very remote location. There's not development around it. That odor was also detected a couple days later when another inspection had to happen. This time it caused Enbridge to shut down Line 5 and do some additional evaluation of it, and they sent more staff out there to check, and they said everything was fine, and they restarted the line. And we were trying to say, we need an additional investigation. We still don't know the source of this non-natural odor. It is concerning that it is right near the location where you just did an anomaly dig. So we've been working hard to try to get that investigation underway, and happy to say it is underway. I did report the issue to the National Response Center, which is on this public safety notice, and I just want to point that out because if you're around any pipeline and you see a haze or hissing noises or dead animals or vegetation or strange odors, you should call it into the National Response Center. It's a response center that's manned 24 hours every day of the calendar year, and what happens when you call it in, it basically then gets disseminated to other federal, state, tribal agencies, along with other organizations such as Enbridge, who get alert through this Spill Response Center. And again, I did bring some copies of this public safety notice, but if you didn't get a copy and you want more information, you can find this on our webpage also. So the last area I want to talk about is where Line 5 crosses the Bad River itself, which is shown in these imageries and topography. And on this map, we labeled not only Line 5, but we also labeled the natural gas pipelines that cross near that area. And you can just, if you look at that image to the right, you can see how that river changes over time and meanders and forms oxbow lakes. And that's the sign of a healthy, functioning river. And in this stretch, the Bad River is very dynamic. And so for those that maybe aren't familiar with how rivers meander just naturally, and again, it's a sign of a healthy, functioning river, this is a diagram to help better explain that. As we know, rivers carry water, but they also carry gravel and sand and sediment and silt with them. And a river flow speeds up along outer banks, causing the bank to erode and contributing additional material like sediments carried by the river. A river flows slow down along inner banks, allowing sediments to settle out and deposit over time. This sediment can build up and block and alter flow paths, and that's why we have the formation of oxbow lakes and channels that are abandoned over time. And there's some great graphics that you can find online to just better understand that. And I wanted just to quickly go through some aerial imageries of this location where Line 5 crosses Bad River. This first image is from 1939, so you don't see line 5 in here because it was built in 1953. But the area of interest where line 5 is going to go is circled in this blue area. So if you could focus on that area, but also the area to the northeast of it where you see this other channel, focus on that area too, and we'll just watch how it changes over time. This is the photo from 1953. You can see the line 5 corridor is now present. This is from 1963. 1975, and in this photo you can see that area to the northeast. You can see it's starting to get blocked off and that Oxbow Lake is starting to form. This is 1983. 1992. 2005. So we'll just pause and we can easily compare this back to that 1939 photo. You can see how much that stretch that line 5 crosses has changed. And again, you can see that Oxbow Lake has formed and the river formed a new channel that is just north of there. And then here's the image from 2015. In the 2015 image, the distance between the upstream side of the river bend and the pipeline itself was around 50 feet. Over the last 25 years, this bank has migrated around 150 feet, or an average of 5 feet per year. But we know the migration is not constant. It doesn't happen exactly 5 feet per year. It's very much event-driven. So it depends on if we have flooding or snowmelt or precipitation. So it's very episodic. Since this aerial photo was taken, we had multiple large storms. As you guys know, we had the flood in July 2016. We had the Father's Day flood in June of 2018. As of November of 2018, the distance between the upstream river bend and the pipeline was only 30 feet. Since then, it's even slightly less than 30 feet. It's just shy of 30 feet. So this is a very dynamic area. This is an area where the river is trying to do what it needs to do to be a healthy, functioning river. And there is a pipeline that is interfering with it. Okay, so here's a couple images just showing what that site looks like when you're in the field. And again, it's another zoomed in map showing the meander area. Enbridge did have contractors install these, what they call monuments, which are these brightly colored PVC pipe. The intent was that to help with aerial patrol so they could assess what's happening, but also when folks are in the field to measure the distances and how that area is changing over time. Here's another view of the meander. This is an image from drone video footage captured by Bad River Tribal member Joe Bates from April 16th of 2019. And highlighted here are 3 sets of monuments that I was talking about. They're really hard to see, but these are where those monuments are installed. But you can just see how much water in April of this year was flowing over that meander. This is a map showing the July 2016 flood and where all the water was. So we worked with USGS to develop flood inundation models so we could document the July 2016 flood. And everywhere you see in yellow, that is where Bad River was in 2016. And then this is one of the last images I have. Again, this is from July 2016 flood. I wanted to show this because you can see the sediment plume coming from Bad River. And although, and sediments can really give us a quick as chair, I'm not sure if Chairman Wiggins would like to add in to any of the issues I mentioned that we are deeply concerned about on the reservation.
I was